Okay. Welcome, everyone, to Brain Northwest's programming here. Again, my name is Reggie Costanzo. I am the Education and Resource Manager here, and I have the wonderful opportunity to introduce to you Bea from Northwest Access Fund. I'm going to allow her to explain more about the wonderful organization that Northwest Access Fund is, but I wanted to share that Bea does a lot of their regular classes at Northwest Access Fund, which is an important part of their organization, and is an accredited financial counselor and also a certified benefits planner. So she's well versed in this realm, and I'm very grateful that you're here today, Bea. I appreciate you very much. So take it away.
Great, thanks, Reggie. Yep, like Reggie said, my name is Bea. I am one of the financial coaches at Northwest Access Fund, and I've got a couple of slides to tell you a little bit about our organization. But I did just want to echo Reggie's comments. There will be time for questions at the end, but please feel free to put questions in the chat or write them down so you don't forget. But I will be taking questions at the end. But welcome to today's class. It's called How to Make a Budget and Save. And so this is our agenda for today. We're going to start with going through just a really brief overview about Northwest Access Fund, the work that we do. And then we're going to get into talking about how to budget. And then at the end, we'll be talking a little bit more about saving. All right, so an overview of Northwest Access Fund. This is just a little bit about Northwest Access Fund. Our mission is that we offer people with disabilities customized loans, financial coaching, and other resources to promote access to assistive technology, independence, financial resilience, and life opportunities. We serve all of Washington and Oregon, and we are also currently expanding our services into Idaho. And we serve all incomes, all ages, and all disabilities. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization and a community development financial institution, or CDFI. Now, we do offer loans, and we have a little bit of a unique approach to the way that we do loans. So we evaluate all applications on a case-by-case basis. And this includes applications from people who may have trouble accessing traditional loans for a variety of reasons. And our staff can also help applicants to identify steps they can take to improve their chances of being approved for a loan. Now, we offer several different types of loans for different purposes, but we have an assistive technology, or AT loan, and that can loan up to $25,000. A modified vehicles loan, which can loan up to $60,000. A home modification loan, which can also loan up to $60,000. And an opportunity loan, which can loan up to $10,000. Now, our opportunity loan can be used for a lot of different things, but it's generally used for things like small business, credit building, debt consolidation, and other one-time expenses, typically things like moving costs or rental deposits. None of our loans have any fees, and our opportunity loans and assistive technology loans have a 5% interest rate. But the rates for our other loans vary monthly, so I can't really tell you exactly what those would be if that is something you're interested in. We do have more information on our website. We also offer financial coaching, both for youth and adults. And we also have a little bit of a unique approach to how we do our coaching. So all of our coaches are certified benefits planners. Most of our coaches are accredited financial counselors. And we offer specialized services that include benefits-informed financial coaching that is able to help meet the unique needs of people with disabilities. We also work with youth and their family to access disability benefits and plan for long-term financial stability. And if you participate in our coaching program, it is always free and it's client-led. We have a couple different ways to engage with our financial coaching program. So we offer one-on-one services and support, and this can help with things like resource navigation, applying for benefits, or if you need help understanding your benefits. And we also help with budgeting and saving, credit building, and debt management. And we also offer group classes. So we have a class on how to make a budget and save, which is very similar to the one that we'll be doing today. We also teach classes on how to build credit and manage debt, and how to apply for disability benefits for adults, for children, and for youth ages 18 plus. And we also offer what we call a working lunch, which is essentially a body doubling session. So if you need some additional support to maybe stay motivated or focused towards working on your financial goals, you can join and just kind of work on whatever you need to work on during that time, kind of with that extra support. And we also offer small business supports. So we provide individualized support if you are interested in starting, growing, or managing a small business. Or if you need help navigating the gig economy. So that's things like driving Uber, or maybe like doing dog walking on an app, things like that. Or if you need help managing your self-employment income, or understanding how being self-employed will impact your disability benefits. And if you're interested in accessing capital or a small business loan, we're also able to support with that. All right, so that's Northwest Access Fund. So now let's get into why you're here today. We're going to talk a little bit about budgeting. So these are the steps that we're going to go through to help us budget. So know your goals, know your income, track your expenses, make a plan, and then track your progress. And this kind of brings it full circle. By tracking your progress, you're able to make sure that your budget does match your goals and your values. And we're just going to be thinking of budgeting as making a plan for your money. And really the whole process is going to be driven by your goals and by what it is that you want. So you might have set some financial goals already, and they could include something like making a large purchase, saving, or even just feeling financially secure can be a good goal. But if you haven't set any goals, it can be really helpful to spend some time to think about what it is that you want. Without setting goals, it can be really easy to just spend money without really knowing where it's going. And this might end up meaning that you're spending money in ways that don't match your goals or your values. Now, income can change every month. And this is especially true if you work part-time, which I know is really common for people with disabilities. So it's important to track your income and know exactly how much money you've got available. So you need to know how much money you're working with or your sources of income and when they come in. Now, you might have other sources of income, but kind of the most common sources of income are going to be work, benefits, and that could be ABD, SSI, SSDI, or maybe you're accessing another type of benefit, and SNAP or food stamps. Now, there are a lot of ways that you can use your money, but it's your money, so you do get to decide what you want to do with it. But it can be a good idea to think about how you use the money that you earn. So we're going to go over some of the ways that you can use income. So you can save it, and that could be saving it in a CD or a certificate of deposit. And we're going to talk about what those are a little bit later if you've never heard of that before. Savings accounts, or you can invest it. I do just kind of want to call out right here that if you do choose to invest your money and you're receiving public benefits that have asset limits, I would encourage you to be really careful to watch those investments and not let them put you over your asset limits as they grow. You can also spend it. So you can spend it on your needs, your obligations, or your wants, or you can share it. And that could be to help care for friends or family members, or maybe it's to give it to organizations that are doing something that is meaningful to you or impactful to your life. Now, when you're making a plan for spending your money, you'll need to take some time to think about what it is that you want and what it is that you need and how to tell the difference. So we're going to watch a really short video that kind of explains.
Needs versus wants. Food and water, shelter, clothing, these are our basic needs. But do they really stop there? What do you really need? Do you need a phone? What about a smartphone? Do you need a tablet for school or a computer? Everyone is going to answer those questions differently because every person has different wants and needs. Just because you really want something, that doesn't mean you need it. So how do you determine what is truly a need and what is just a really big want? Try asking yourself some basic questions. If I didn't have this item, would I still be able to function in life and keep up with my commitments? Or will not having this item severely affect my life in a negative way? For example, if I didn't have a car, getting to work would be a major challenge. But does this mean I need a brand new car? Or will the dependable car I have work? After you've spent some time determining what in your life is a want and what is actually a need, you have to figure out how many of those wants you can actually afford. Because there's no way we can afford all the things we want at once. Give them a ranking and start saving.
All right. So after you think about your needs and your wants, kind of one of the things that generally comes up as a need is paying your bills. And so one of the most important things that you can do with your money is to pay your bills on time, every time. So paying your bills on time can help you to save money by avoiding late fees and penalties, keep your services going like your utilities or your phone, keep your housing. It can help you to establish and build credit, and it can also help you to establish and build your reputation. Now, you might be wondering where your money is going. Sometimes it can seem like your money just flies out the door and you have no idea where it went. But you can track your spending and find out. So there are a lot of different ways that you can track your spending. Here on this slide, I've got a couple examples of some free apps that you can use, Rocket Money and Good Budget. Your bank or your credit union might also have a spending tracker that's built directly into their app. But regardless of the way that you choose to track your spending, we recommend tracking your expenses for 30 days before you make your spending plan. And then also continue to track your spending after you make your spending plan too. But this way, you know what bills you're paying monthly and how much they are. All right, so now we're at the step where you make your budget. And this is kind of the step that a lot of people generally think of when they think of budgeting. But to do this, you can use an app, you can use a fillable form, or you can even just use a piece of paper and a pencil for this step. Really, whatever method works best for you and the way that you think about things. But you're going to take the information from your spending tracker that you've been working on for 30 days and your income and use all of that information to create your budget. Now, when you create your budget, 3 things can happen. So either you have enough money, you have more than you need, or you don't have enough. And here are some suggestions of some questions you can ask yourself for each scenario. So if your budget breaks even, so if you have just enough money, do you have savings? And are you able to pay all of your bills on time? If your budget has a surplus, do you want to save or spend that surplus? And if your budget has a deficit, are you able to increase your income or decrease your expenses at all? Maybe can you increase or change work? Are there public benefits that you could apply for? Or maybe could you do some comparison shopping and see if there's any cheaper options out there? Now, what if you can't pay your bills? Stuff happens, and if you can't pay a bill, it's a good idea to try to contact the creditor and ask for a payment plan or see if they'll let you defer or stop paying for a month or 2. Most people will try to work with you, and this is especially true if you usually pay on time and if you call before you start missing payments. And if there are times when you can't pay all of your bills, it's a good idea to prioritize and then pay what you can. So priority should be things like your housing expenses. So that could be your rent or your utilities, things to help you find or keep a job if you're trying to work. So that could be like transportation or a cell phone or maybe childcare. And then your medical needs and food. Things that can maybe wait are going to be things like debt payments. So that's going to be like your credit cards, your student loans, or other loans or collections debts that you might have. Now, if your income is low, or if you have no income, there are a lot of public benefits and community resources out there that you might be able to access. And if you need help to see if you qualify for a public benefit, or if you need help to apply, you're welcome to reach out to us at Northwest Access Fund, and that's something that one of our financial coaches can help you with. But you can also go to washingtonconnection.org if you live in Washington. And they've got a benefit screening tool, and they can kind of help you see what you might be eligible for. But here on this slide, I've just got some examples of some common things that people are needing help with, and the resources that are available to help you access those things. So if you're needing help with food, there are food banks out there. There's also SNAP benefits or food stamps that you might be able to apply for. For utilities, your utility provider might have a local utility assistance program, or there's also LIHEAP and LIWOP, which are national programs funded by the federal government. For housing, there might be a rental assistance program that you're able to access, or you can try contacting the housing authority or applying for Section 8 housing. And if you're looking for more resources, or maybe there's something you're needing help with that isn't listed on this slide, you can also call 211. And 211 is a directory. It's a local directory of a bunch of different resources that are available in your area, wherever you may live. And you can tell the 211 operator what it is that you're looking for, or what it is that you need help with. And they can look in their directory and kind of point you in a good direction of what resources might be available to help you get that need met. Okay, so if you remember at the start of this presentation, we talked about the first step of budgeting is to know your goals, and many goals need money. And so for those goals that do, your budget is your plan for reaching them. So you can include saving for those goals as part of your budget. And so now we're going to kind of move into talking about saving a little bit more. Now, saving money just means setting aside income today to use it sometime in the future. But saving can be really hard. And this is especially true if you don't have enough income to meet your needs or your obligations or your wants. But when you do save money, it's important to decide where you want to put it. So keeping your money in a savings vehicle offers safety. So we're going to talk about a few of the most common ones today. So there are traditional savings accounts, which when someone refers to a savings account, this is generally what they're talking about. And these are found at banks and credit unions. And so you're able to deposit and withdraw your money as needed in a traditional savings account. And any money that's in that account will typically earn interest, but it's usually at a very low interest rate that you earn interest. And then there's CDs, or certificates of deposit. And these can be a really helpful tool if you struggle with impulse spending or wanting to spend money when you see it just kind of sitting in your bank account. But they work by depositing a fixed amount of money into the CD for a fixed period of time. And the CD will earn interest typically at a little bit of a higher interest rate than a regular savings account. But kind of the catch here with using a CD is that you can't touch the money, either the original deposit or the earned interest, until the end of that fixed time period. Now, if there is some sort of emergency or something comes up and you need that money right away, you are able to access it, but it comes with a penalty. Generally, it's a certain number of days of interest that you forfeit in order to pull your money out early. And there's also ABLE accounts. And ABLE accounts are savings accounts that are for people with disabilities that began before age 26. And these accounts allow people to save without impacting their benefits. And we're going to kind of get into them more on the next slide. So like I mentioned earlier, some public benefits do have resource limits. So for example, if you receive SSI, you likely have a resource limit of $2,000. And if you do access benefits that have resource limits, you can use an ABLE savings account to help you save more. So save above that resource limit without it impacting those benefits. Now, ABLE accounts are tax advantage savings accounts for people with disabilities that began before age 26. But you can open an ABLE account at any age. just your disability needs to have began before you turn 26. And kind of some good news here is that in 2026, so next year, the age limit is going up. So anyone whose disability began before they were 46 will be eligible to open an ABLE account starting in January. So if you don't qualify for an ABLE account today, you might qualify for one next year. And ABLE accounts, like I mentioned, allow you to save without impacting your benefits. And to open one, you do need $25, and that is an initial deposit. So it's not a fee. You're not paying $25 to have an ABLE account. You just need to put $25 into your account when you open it. And if you're interested in opening an ABLE account, you can check out your state's ABLE website. So in Washington, that's the Washington State ABLE website, or the ABLE National Resource Center. Has a lot of great information about ABLE accounts on there. Now, not every bill is going to be due every month. And these are called periodic expenses. And so you're going to want to make sure that you make a plan to budget and save for these expenses. Because like we talked about, tracking your expenses for 30 days, it might not catch everything. So it's important to think about these things. But it does involve some planning ahead to make sure that you're not running out of money when these bills come due. But that planning ahead just takes a couple of simple steps. So step one is going to be to identify those periodic or irregular expenses that you have and their amounts. And then you're going to add all of those different expenses together. And then that number you get after you add them together, you're going to divide that by 12 for 12 months in a year. And then whatever that answer is, that number after you divide by 12, you're going to budget for and plan to save that amount every month. And then as these periodic expenses come due, you're going to be using that money to pay for them. Now, some people find it helpful to have like a dedicated savings account. Sometimes you might hear people refer to it as a revolving savings account to use for saving specifically for these periodic expenses. And some banks also offer buckets. Your bank might have a different term. Generally, they're called buckets that you can set up within a traditional savings account that you can put money into as you're saving for specific expenses or goals. Now, everyone's periodic expenses are different, but I do want to just list a couple of examples of some of the most common ones that I see working with folks to help you get thinking about what periodic expenses you might have in your life and in your budget. So it could be vehicle expenses, and that could be your insurance or maintenance costs or registration fees. Could be pet care or holiday and birthday gifts, annual memberships or annual passes that you have to certain things, and then taxes. And you might have other ones too, so it's a good idea to take some time to kind of think through the things that you're spending money on. Now, an important part of tracking your progress is to review your budget regularly and then update it as needed. So it can be really helpful to compare your budget with your spending tracker at the end of every month. And as you make this comparison, if you're finding that your budget regularly has imbalances, whether those be positive or negative, I'd invite you to consider revisiting some of the previous steps of the budgeting process and then make adjustments as needed. And this can also be a really good time to kind of check in with yourself, check in with your budget to make sure that it still matches your values and goals. Now, if you're struggling to stay on track with your budget, we're going to go through a few tips that you hopefully will find helpful. The first tip is to automate. So you are more likely to stick with your plan if you set up automatic payments and transfers. And this way, you don't have to think about following the plan. You just do the work to set it up once, and then you can make changes later if you need to or if something changes in your life. But some of the things that you might be able to automate are your savings with automatic transfers and having separate accounts, your bills by using online bill pay or auto pay, and knowing when your bills are due, and tracking your budget, which could be with an app, and this can also help with checking your spending. Another good tip is to build habits. And this is a tip that takes a little bit of time and patience. But I've got some tips for building habits. If you have one that's worked really well for you, feel free to put it in the chat to share with the group. But I'll read ours. So you can always shop with the list. Limit eating out. Comparison shop. And you might also even be able to find something for free by checking like your local Buy Nothing group or Craigslist or websites like that. Pay yourself first. And this just means to put money into your savings account as soon as you receive it. Plan for big purchases. And some people also find it helpful to expand this to include for planning for smaller purchases too, that aren't necessarily like needs or obligations. Even sometimes just waiting a week after you identify that you want something and then reevaluating if you still want it can be helpful. Buy less than you can afford. And remember to put fun stuff in your spending plan. So you are much more likely to stick to your budget if there are things in there that bring you joy, that you're giving yourself permission to spend money on those things that are fun. Now, if you're finding that impulse spending is making it difficult to stick to your budget, we've got a few tips that might help with that. So you can pre-plan for impulse spending. So if you know that you're going to spend impulsively, you can build that directly into your budget. You can also use a gift card. So you can preload funds onto a gift card or a prepaid debit card every month if you're impulsively spending on specific things. So like some common examples I see with the folks I work with are like coffee purchases or buying things on Amazon. So you would load an Amazon gift card, for example, or a Starbucks gift card. And then once those funds are gone for the month, they're gone. You don't have any more money to spend at that store or on that whatever it is that you're impulsively buying. You can delete your saved cards from online accounts. So by not saving your credit or your debit card information on online accounts, it makes impulsively spending online just a little bit less convenient. And you can also try using a cash budget. So only carry cash with you when you're shopping and only carry a predetermined amount. And this way, you literally are not able to spend more than you plan to, because if you run out of money, then you've got no more money. And you can tell someone about your goals. So having a trusted friend or a family member aware of your desire to not be impulsively shopping or impulsively spending on things can help keep you accountable. Okay, so kind of just to wrap up here, budgeting and saving can feel really overwhelming. And this is especially true when you're first getting started. So here, I just want to lay out the next steps to focus on. So identify your financial goals. Pick a method to track your expenses. Track your income and spending for 30 days before you make your budget. Use your spending tracker to guide you as you create your budget. And if you're feeling stuck or you feel like you could use some more support, you are always welcome to reach out to us at Northwest Access Fund and we're able to help you. Or you can also sign up for our working lunch or body doubling session to have a dedicated time to be working on starting your budget or tracking your spending. Okay, does anyone have any questions?
This is so excellent. Let me just stop the recording for the questions section and we will open it up. Bear with me for just a moment, everyone.